Like some of you out there, I completed this Brachy's tutorial and I dipped my toes into game development with Godot for the very first time. I was hooked right away. Next, I wanted to figure out how to make a top-down game. At this time, I was really hooked on Core Keeper and I loved the way that it played. In this process, I learned about state machines and really expanded my knowledge of GDScript. But after about a week, I decided that I wanted to force myself to start and finish something within a short amount of time so that I can get used to making a deadline and sticking to it. Using Brano's tutorial on a Vampire Survivors clone, I ended up making this wonderful little turd of a game where you fend off waves of enemies and defeat a boss that was based around one of my friends. I gave myself about a month to finish this so that I could surprise them when they were coming to visit me later that summer. I had extremely basic coding and I struggled to do the most basic things possible, but I was determined to brute force my way through these tutorials until I had what I needed to make a video game. I did finish that game, and when I unveiled it to my group of friends, it ended with our faces hurting from laughing so hard. This made me fall in love with video games all over again, albeit in a different way than I had previously as a consumer. And if you're curious about it, in another video down the line, I'll talk more about how I went from tutorials to suddenly having a programmer and an artist alongside me and starting this game studio. But for now, I'd really like to talk to you about Zima. So what is Zima? Well, Zima is going to be an action roguelike with a little bit of RPG elements. It's a game about surviving a harsh, unnatural winter by diving into dungeons to gather the resources needed to keep your home safe and warm. Some of our inspirations include Moonlighter, Undermine, Core Keeper, and the icy challenges of Frostpunk. We're blending these inspirations to try and create something unique and hopefully really fun to play. Also, of course, everything you see here is subject to change and is placeholder while we give our artists time to work on the character. So please do your best to ignore what we are lovingly calling the naked baby right now. Again, this is temporary and our character is almost done. Since we're still in the early stages, a lot of the work so far has been focused on building the framework and the scaffolding, as I like to call it. Essentially, we're coding the foundation that will support all of the further systems in the game. So far, we've set up the basics like directional combat, dodging, level loading, and an early inventory and interaction system that you can see here. One core part of Zima is that death isn't the end. When you're defeated, you'll lose some resources and experience, but you're sent back to your starting point to try again. It's a key element of the roguelike feel that we're aiming for. We want you to feel like you're constantly progressing, but if you don't gather enough resources to fuel the furnace, your home will be lost to the crushing blizzard. The goal will be to make it further and further through the dungeon to reach the end. At the end of the dungeon, you'll find a mini-boss who, once defeated, will reward you with the resources needed to upgrade your home, giving you a boost of power. Although there may be some secret rooms or chests that will aid you in making it further through the dungeons you can find along the way. From an art standpoint, we're going for a modern yet simple pixel art style that's visually pleasing. We want the look of the game to feel as cozy as it does foreboding. A warm home against a cold and deadly winter. Again, a lot of this is placeholder, but slowly it will all be replaced by our very talented artist. Here you can see some of the basic tile set that we've come up with so far for our prototyping. Like in any game development, we've already had our fair share of funny bugs. Sometimes the character just floats away into the great beyond, or maybe it's that we didn't properly set up collision with the enemies. As we're learning time and time again, game development is a huge challenge, and trust me, we need all the help we can get, so please do not hesitate to offer feedback and advice. This is tough, but it's also incredibly rewarding, and we're having so much fun making Zima so far. So, what are our plans going forward? Well, our immediate plans are to implement the player character design, which again is almost done, and we want to refine the combat system and start adding more enemies and mini-bosses. Each step brings us closer and closer to making Zima feel like the experience that we've envisioned, and we're so excited to keep pushing forward, and we won't stop until we get to the end. As a small indie team of 3 with no experience, we're always learning and we'd love to hear your advice. So if you're a developer, a player, or just somebody interested in game design, please feel free to drop some tips in the comments. And of course, we really hope you follow along with our journey. We've got big plans and we'd love for you to be a part of this adventure too. We're still currently working on founding the actual game studio, so we don't have a Steam page yet, but we will soon, so look forward to that.